Elon Musk says human population collapse is a bigger crisis than climate change, but let's look at the numbers. There are now more than 8 billion people on Earth, and looking at the UN projections, we're headed towards 10.4 billion by 2100. We're not running out of people, and we're not running out of young people either, as roughly half the world's population is under 30. What's happening is we're turning up the heat. The IPCC clearly states that population growth alongside per capita GDP are the two strongest drivers of carbon emissions. To achieve a sustainable world, we've got to reduce our personal consumption and choose to have smaller families. And while people don't have a choice of their family size, we've got to make sure they get the resources to be able to decide. The human population isn't going anywhere, but choosing less gives back more to the planet. Scientists declared a sixth mass extinction, but what's behind it and what can we do to stop it? In the 1970s, the wild population of animals has declined by 68% on average, while one species has more than doubled in size: us. The human population has increased from 3.7 billion in 1970 to 8 billion today, and all these extra billions of people have required more land, more energy, more water, and more food. In fact, agriculture constitutes 80% of all extinction threats to mammal and bird species. But it's not just feeding the world that's the problem, it's rich countries' appetite for material goods that's driving biodiversity loss. All our iPhones, trendy clothes, new headphones come at the expense of natural resources being extracted through mining, deforestation, and land clearing. This destroys habitats, pollutes the environment, and drives animals to the brink of extinction. Now only a quarter of our planet's land and a third of our oceans remain undamaged from human activity. But we can reverse that trend. By reducing our personal consumption and choosing to have smaller families, we can reduce pressure on natural resources and keep sharing our planet with all the other wild and wonderful creatures. So next time, think about the impact of our species. When are you here?
First really hit me, when I flew over Gombe National Park, where I've been doing chimpanzee research since 1960. And when I began, the little tiny Gombe National Park was part of the equatorial forest belt that stretched from East Africa across to the West African coast. When I flew over Gombe in 1990, it was a tiny island of forest surrounded by completely bare hills, and it was obvious there were more people living there than the land could support. I realized that one very important fact was we needed to improve the ways that people could get their livelihood without destroying the environment on which actually they and we depend.
Our population continues to grow by 80 million people per year. We should be concerned. Climate change, deforestation, water and food shortages, pollution, as well as biodiversity loss, which we never talk enough about, are all becoming difficult to manage with our ever-increasing numbers. Additionally, the people who are affected the most by a growing population are the young girls and women who are supposed to be the child bearers and child rearers. Can we do anything about this? Yes, we can bring the numbers down. We can do positive, ethical, as well as cost-effective things that can benefit human beings, as well as take pressure off our planet. At Population Matters, we strongly believe in empowering young girls and women to make choices about their family sizes and work opportunities. We also believe in education, especially of girls, providing modern contraceptives without any barriers, promoting small families, especially in the high-consuming countries, and ending poverty is very critical.
Heard of the condom king? In the 1960s, Thailand was heading towards an overpopulation crisis. At the time, it had a population of 27 million people, but was adding nearly another million people every year. This created a huge dependent population, with 45% of the population under the age of 15, putting a huge strain on resources and preventing economic development. Mackay Vajraveja is a former politician and current activist in Thailand. He emphasised the poverty trap linked to large families, wherein more children led to parents being unable to provide enough resources for each of their children, unable to save or progress, they are kept in poverty. And so he promoted the use of family planning in Thailand and made it easier for people to use it. One of his key efforts was to make it normal and fun to talk about contraception, such as through condom balloon blowing contests, earning him his famous nickname, Mr. Condom.
Condoms can do so many things. Look at this. I gave this to Al Gore and to Bill Senior also. Stop global warming, use condoms.
Mr. Mackay Vajraveja's work, a brilliant example of a pro-choice, pro-education, effective family planning programme. To find out more information about population and population issues, go to populationmatters.org.
Key to population stabilization and reduction is to remove control, patriarchal control that is currently preventing girls and women from making authentic and liberated reproductive choices for themselves, whether that includes not having any children or having smaller families, because we know that the number of children that women and couples end up having, it matches the norm within that society. So if a country, the norm is 7 children, then you ask a woman how many children she wants, she will say 7 because she wants to belong in the community. And when she says she desires fewer children or no children, there are punishments in place, such as divorce or domestic violence or social isolation. Empowering women around the world to be able to make authentic and liberated choices. Population denialism, it's an ideology that says that population growth does not have any or much impact on the environment or on the people, and that therefore there's no need to talk about it, there's no need to address it. 6 out of the 9 planetary boundaries have been crossed. Of course, climate crisis is one of them. The biodiversity loss and the extinction crisis, where we are losing species at 100 to 1,000 times faster than pre-human times. We're seeing resource scarcity, especially dwindling freshwater supplies, where over a couple of billion people are living in water-stressed countries today, and nearly 5 billion people will be living in water-stressed countries by 2050. Why population denialism exists